Thought the suspense was going to kill me. Come on in here, whirling talk. Come on in.
Come on in. You can come on in so you can hear him.
Please. Old Charlie talks a little low sometimes when he gets serious. Man, aren't you cold in that short sleeve?
Good. Back here.
I would say that I get a little cold. Old Charlie has to put his jacket on.
Yeah.
Probably low blood. Good to see you.
See you. Above ground.
Above ground. My name's Charlie. Charlie Jackson Guess. Any of you know me from around town? They call me CJ. They call me Charlie Jack. Call me Jackson, Chuck. Then in school, a lot of them kids call me Guess Who, Guess What. You know how kids are. None of you seem to be that old, though. I was born back in 1893. You know, in a lot of ways, that seems like a lifetime ago. A lot of ways, seems like just the other day. Started school here in Cobb County, 6 years old. Get pretty good. Didn't like reading, writing, and arithmetic too much. Just like to tinker. Daddy said that anything that had a moving part, I could tear out. And I believe that's the truth. But Daddy also said I had a mechanical mind. So I think he is proud of me for that. I remember in the 8th grade, Miss Jones, Joel, was she your old teacher? You're in Kennesaw, I guess. Anyway, Miss Jones was my teacher, good teacher. She gave us a project. She said, I want you to build something that's exciting, fascinating. So, old Charlie knew what he was going to build. He went out into town and got all the tin cans he could find. Build a little train. I love trains. Took that into school, and Miss Jones, oh, her eyes got that big around. She took them to the Gradle, brought them back in, and said, winner of this project, Charlie Guess. You know how that makes you feel? Like $1 million in win. That was the good part. There's a bad part to that. Old Charlie thought he'd had enough reading, writing, and arithmetic to quit school. So I went out in town looking for a job. You know, that was early 1900s. You know what the big thing was? That automobile. That's one of the big things. There's a lot of, we're hearing another big thing, right? And the automobile was a biggie. People were putting their horses out in the pasture, trading them in for a big, shiny car. My job was to be a mechanic. So what these folks would do is go out on a Friday and buy a big car. Over the weekend, they'd wreck it and bring it back in. I'd fix it on Monday. So old Charlie had job security. I was there for about 4 years, and then 1917 rolled around. What happened then? World War I. Exactly, well, started before then. U.S. got involved in 1917, I think. And I know I got involved in 1918. The draft was going on in Marietta. I went down, sure enough, they said, Charlie, we'd love to have you. I said, well, I'm here. I said, what am I going to be doing? They said, what? We're going to be a mechanic. I said, where am I going to be a mechanic? They said, in Europe. I thought, is that south of Atlanta or is that up toward New York? So anyway, I guess I knew where Europe was in a way. But did you all meet Susie Stegall down here? Sue, the girl right down here.
Newspaper related.
Newspaper. Well, we're friends up here. We were friends in town back in the day. But oh, Susie, you know, she's got that nose for the news. Well, she heard about me getting inducted into the U.S. Army. She did an article in the paper and said, Charlie Guess, he's a mechanical genius. Couldn't argue with that. She said he's going to go over to Europe and he's going to work on them cars and he's going to help the United States win the war. That's what happened. So she knew what she was talking about. Went over there, got back in 1919 just as the war was winding down. But I really had some problems when I come back, and I think it was what today we call decompressing. Just didn't know what to do with myself. I got so desperate, I moved down to Atlanta for a while. Finally come back home, come back up here to Cobb County. I'd saved me a little money, went out and bought me a garage, started doing that mechanicing job again. That was what they called them times, the early 20s, the whole 20s. Roaring 20s. Yeah, it was roaring. More cars on the road than they are today. Well, probably not. There's a lot of cars on the road, though. And a lot of folks bringing them in to get them worked on. I bet my head didn't get out from under the hood of a car for at least 3 or 4 years. But one day I did peep around. Here was the prettiest rolled girl, woman, young lady I'd ever seen. I said, I got to meet her. So I went over. Laura Ellis was her name. She was sweet. She was kind. She was smart. Any other good adjective we want to add, that was sweet Laura. You know, one thing I didn't like about her, I thought her last name should have been Guess. Finally, she agreed to be as Laura Guess. So we settled down here in town. You know what come next? Yeah, little Gene Guess. Had a little boy. Life was good. But I was still keeping my head under the hood of these cars up till 8, 10 o'clock at night. And that was just more than I cared for. So I went over at the depot. You know, Kennesaw, train tracks run smack through the middle. So that's where they hired folks if you wanted a job on the train. So I was over there kind of fooling around, see if anybody'd talk to me. And I guess being the genius I was, they said, Charlie, you want a job? I said, yeah, I'd like to have a job. I got hired as assistant foreman and a mechanic. So I started working on the train. Loved them all my life. Built one in the 8th grade, so that to me was going to be a career. Ended up being my career. Loved working on the trains. But something was still missing. And I had a buddy that said to me, Charlie, why don't you run for city commission? Council back then, I guess it's still council. Said, you'd be a good councilman. I said, I don't know if I could win. He said, why, Charlie, everybody in town knows you. Said, I don't think you've ever met anybody you didn't already know. So I run for council. I won. 2 years flew by. Re-election come up. It's re-elected. You know how many times I was re-elected? 14, and I think it might have been 15. Yeah, long time on the council. Life was good. Kennesaw was good for me. It gave to me, so I thought I'd give back to it. But, what they say, all good things got to come to an end, right? Sweet Laura died here in 1965 here in town. We brought her up here. I moped around about 6 years, followed her up here in 1971. We've been here ever since. High and dry little plot of land in the city where we can hear the trains, hear the whistle. We got good friends here. Neighbors are good. They're quiet most of the time. Afterlife, it's all right. Speaking of which, I better see what time it is. Laura said we had some house guests. I'm going to have to go. Got things I've got to do. Old Charlie does. It was good seeing you. Thanks for coming by, and come back and see me. Thank you.
I see your socks. Was the thing as good as they were as they are today?
And you know what? They tell me them Georgia Bulldogs are doing good. And I still order from Costco up here and Amazon.